Hello and welcome. I'm Pallavi Sharma and you're watching BIZWORLD Weekly, a show that brings you detailed analysis of all that happened across the week. So from stock markets to economies, we bring you everything that you probably missed out on this week. Let's start with the market check. Indian equity indices ended on a weak note on April 4th at close. The Sensex was down 1.22 points at 75,364.69 points and Nifty was down 1.49% at 22,904.45 points. Biggest losers on Nifty included Tata Steel, Hindalco, ONGC, Tata Motors and Cipla, while gainers were Bajaj Finance, Tata Consumer, HDFC Bank, Apollo Hospitals and Nestle India. On sectoral front, Metal Index plunged 6.5%, Pharma Index shed 4%, Realty Index tumbled 3.6%, Oil and Gas Index slipped nearly 4%, while Auto, Consumer Durables, Power, PSU, Media, IT indices lost 2 to 3%. Indian rupee ended 21 paise higher at 85.23 per dollar on Friday, that is on April 4th. Gold prices fell today. Price of 22 karat gold per gram in Delhi was at 8,576 rupees and 24 karat gold price stood at 9,354 rupees per gram. On April 2nd, Trump announced the Reciprocal Tariff plan effective April 9th. In his speech on what he calls it the Liberation Day, he announced a baseline tariff of 10% on imports from all countries, and on a dozen of countries that have trade surplus with the US, he has announced higher tariffs. He called it discounted reciprocal tariffs because he says that he has been very kind while calculating these tariffs on other countries. But the world leaders are furious. First, looking at the most heavily impacted countries, Cambodia at the top with 49% tariffs, Laos at 48%, Vietnam at 46%, Myanmar and Sri Lanka at 44%, Thailand at 36%, Bangladesh at 37% and China at 34%. India is relatively in a good place compared to other Asian countries with a 26% tariff. Canada and Mexico were exempt from reciprocal tariffs because they were already exposed to a 25% tariff earlier. Now, China collectively pays a tariff of about 54%, so that's high. US trading partners were also not spared. South Korea was slapped with a 25% tariff, Japan with a 24%, Malaysia with 24%, India with 26%, Singapore and Australia with 10% each. The world leaders are not happy. EU says that it's a major blow on the economy and the European Union will retaliate. Canada vows countermeasures and warns of an escalation. Australia refuses to retaliate but says US customers will suffer. China calls for an immediate cancellation, says no winner is there in a trade war. Japan is calling it regrettable. India says it's a mixed bag for the country. Germany warns that trade war will hurt both sides. In US too, the customers say that they will have to pay for these tariffs because goods will now get just costlier for the customers. As per a report, tariffs could cost $5,000 per American household per year. But Trump says that this will bring wealth back to America like when it was a tariff country and when the only problem to US was to figure out what to do with so much wealth. Stock markets across the world were in red after the announcement. Asian markets witnessed significant losses because the highest tariffs were mostly imposed on Asian countries too. Taiwan at 32%. It says it's unfair, but Trump says that he's being very fair. Auto tariffs have also come to effect, 25% tariff on auto imports to the US. Canada has retaliated. It has imposed 25% tariffs on US cars too. The world is worried about the tariffs, and penguins near Antarctica should also brace for a trade war because it looks like Trump doesn't like penguins too. Well, it's not me saying it, it shows from his tariff list. A 10% tariff has been imposed on uninhabited volcanic islands near Antarctica, the Heard and McDonnell Islands. There are 0% humans living in these islands, so social media users are asking Trump, what do penguins sell to the USA? Another user joked, saying that it's time that the freeloading penguins paid up. Even former congressmen and many other people joked about this and commented saying that the penguins are suffering because of the tariffs. And the White House is yet to clarify why these islands are there on the list, but keeping jokes aside, the impact of these tariffs will not be short-term because countries will retaliate. Some will hold talks, there will be new alliances and new ties, some already seen like the China, Japan and South Korea free trade agreement, and China even getting cozier with India and establishing a good trade relationship with the country. It's going to be a lot happening now, and the world will watch and feel the impact in their pockets. Let's get a little India specific now. There is a confusion on reciprocal tariffs charged by the US. It is at 26% or 27% is the question. Trump initially announced a 26% tariff on India as he showed on his tariff slate at the Liberation Day speech. But later, the White House annexed document showed a tariff of 27% on India, and some other countries also these tariffs varied by around 1%. So that raised a confusion if the tariff is 26% or 27%. But on April 3rd, the White House has cleared the confusion, and in the latest annexed document, it showed that the tariffs have been revised to 26% and the changes for other countries have also been made to original. While announcing these tariffs, Trump said India is a very, very tough one because Prime Minister Modi is a dear friend. But he said that India is not treating America right. US will charge 26% discounted tariffs on India. But the Commerce Ministry is not very happy with the tariffs as it is even lesser than Asian countries like China, which is now paying a 54% collective tariff, Vietnam at 46%, but this is still bad for India. It said that it is in touch with the US and will see what new opportunities come out with this development. All eyes are now on a bilateral agreement between the US and India and a possible negotiation on these tariffs. US and India have a trade deficit of $46 billion. So overall, 25% tariff is on steel and aluminum and auto parts, a baseline 10% tariff on remaining Indian goods from April 5th to April 8th. And then from April 9, 26% tariff will apply on India-specific imports. Sectors that remain exempt from these tariffs are pharma, semiconductors, energy products, and copper. Sector-wise, jewelry and gems will be highly impacted with this tariff. IT will also be significantly impacted. Auto parts and auto will be hit too. Hence, the stock market impact will also be sector-based and company-specific because depending on how much dependence it has on US-based revenue, the market will react. Now, there are positives and negatives to this development. Positive is that in the Asian territory, India's tariff is relatively lower versus the trading partners of the US, which means that India is in a better place and a manufacturing destination in Asia. So India will benefit here. But if trade war escalates and trade is disrupted, capital flows could become unstable, inflation might rise, and ripple effects will catch up. And when you look deeper, if the global trade conflict increases import costs, it will be bad for India as India relies on imported energy, machinery, and sophisticated components. So brokerages, though, are not worried. As per SBI research, tariff impact on India is likely to be limited, and several other brokerages like Goldman Sachs, Nomura, Morgan Stanley, and Fitch say the same. Goldman Sachs says that India's gross exports to the US is one of the lowest among the emerging market peers, and Fitch says that its low reliance on external demand makes it somewhat insulated. To Nomura, India is still one of Asia's resilient economies in the ongoing trade conflict. With China being hit by massive tariffs and Vietnam too, India is kind of the next best alternative for manufacturing because the rates here are lower than these countries. The markets have not taken Trump's tariffs well. It has led to a global market turmoil and has wiped out trillions of major companies' values and has raised fear of recession in the US. As per a report, the new tariffs have shaken the global trading system. This has caused a $2.5 trillion loss in the US markets. The market sell-off in the US compared to the crashes during COVID pandemic and 2008 financial crisis, and this hit worldwide. Nasdaq plunged 5.97%, while S&P 500 and Dow fell 4.8% and 3.9% each. By midday, the Apple and Nvidia shares lost $470 billion in value. JP Morgan says that there will be blood. It now sees a 60% chance of global recession in 2025, up from 40%. Goldman Sachs echoed the concerns, raising its recession probability from 20% to 35% in the next 12 months. The firm also slashed its 2025 GDP forecast to just 1% and projected a rise in unemployment rate to 4.5%. Consumer confidence in the US has also come down, with University of Michigan's sentiment survey showing that the highest percentage of Americans are now expecting unemployment to rise since Great Recession. Moody's has also raised its recession forecast from 15% to 40% as trade war is intensifying. Retaliatory tariffs will come from the other countries on 25% auto tariffs as per Moody's. Now, despite warnings, Trump remains adamant about his tariff strategy. White House has projected that tariffs will generate up to $600 billion in revenue per year. It is a claim met with skepticism by the economists who argue that consumers and businesses will bear the brunt. During his speech, Trump also said that those trade projections are going to be wrong. But Goldman Sachs now expects core inflation to hit 3.5% by the end of 2025. Higher tariffs is expected to drive up consumer prices, it says. Federal Reserve is facing mounting economic pressures and now is expected to cut interest rates 3 times this year to cushion the impact. However, rate cuts might not be enough to offset this damage, because the clock is ticking for the US, and with the debt it has, a prediction of recession is what is on the cards for all of us. But will Trump's strategy work? Time will tell. Reports say that Trump is going to bid goodbye to his dear friend Elon Musk. He told this to his inner circle that Elon Musk will depart from the public service as a special government employee. In an interview last week, Trump kind of confirmed that Elon Musk will be leaving the government, but not in the way that the reports are claiming that he would leave. Trump said that he wants to keep Musk at the White House as long as he is willing to oversee Doge, but also suggested that Musk's time could be bearing an end. He said that he thinks he runs a big company and at some point he will have to go back. Now, Musk is a special government employee. This status is reserved for federal employees working 130 days or fewer per year, meaning Musk's role could conclude by May if White House follows the rule or his designation is unchanged. As for Trump's executive order, Doge is slated to be disbanded after 18 months, which is on July 4, 2026. Trump says after Musk's departure and Doge's closure, his cabinet secretaries will take over the cost-cutting responsibilities. Now, what happens when Musk goes back? Well, he will definitely have a lot of work to do because it's not looking very good for his EV company Tesla especially. Tesla reported a 13% drop in sales in Q1 of 2025 from a year ago. This comes 2 days after the company's stock wrapped up its worst quarter since 2022. Across 15 countries of Europe, its market share declined 9.3% in the first quarter from 17.9%. Tesla's made in China EV sales slumped 11.5%. This is because there are protests against him, and in the US in general, it has been escalating. For cutting costs, Musk fired many federal officials, closed down departments, and all this led to massive protests against Musk, and Tesla was the obvious target. Anti-Musk protesters vandalized Tesla showrooms, burned Tesla, and due to tariffs imposed, many countries are boycotting US products and Tesla is one of the main targets. Shareholders of the company are also concerned because they think Musk is managing a lot of companies and now even Doge. They say that his focus might be shifting and he may be too stretched. In fact, when the report of Musk being sent off from White House came out, Tesla shares rebounded by 5%. But in the first quarter of 2025, the shares slumped 36%. However, Musk still remains the richest man on earth, but his wealth saw a decline too. Will all this be fixed after he leaves Doge? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. The Centre's controversial Waqf Amendment Bill of 2024 was tabled in the Lok Sabha this week and the Parliament passed it. Soon after Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha also passed the bill, which means that it now becomes a law. The bill was passed after a 14-hour-long debate in Lok Sabha. It has been a controversial topic for a long time now. Members of All India Muslim Personal Law Board were protesting against the bill, calling it a direct attack on the Muslim community. The bill was cleared by the cabinet and was introduced in the parliament on April 1st. But what is this bill and why is it stirring controversies? And why is the opposition against this bill? Now, the Waqf bill seeks to revise the Waqf Act of 1995 for more accountability and transparency in functioning of the Waqf boards and mandating inclusion of women in these boards. Now, Waqf means endowment in Arabic and it refers to personal property donated by Muslims for religious, charitable or private purposes. Once declared as Waqf, the property is considered to be owned by God and the character cannot be reversed. Now, the law mandates that there is an appointment of a survey commissioner to compile a list of Waqf properties, conduct investigations, summon witnesses, and requisition of public documents. It also includes provision to protect Waqf properties from encroachment. Now, amendments to this law were made in 2013, which further reinforced these protections. In India, which has the largest Waqf holding in the world, the Waqf boards currently control 8.7 lakh properties spanning 9.4 lakh acres across the country, making it the third largest landowner in India, following the armed forces and the Indian Railways. Among the major issues regarding Waqf board in India are lack of diversity in the constitution of the board, lack of judicial oversight, misuse of provisions, among others. Now, the changes in the bill were that the Waqf Act will be renamed to Unified Waqf Management, Empowerment, Efficiency and Development Act of 1995. With this, the government wants to modernize the management of Waqf properties. The bill adds provisions like only lawful property owners can create Waqf to eradicate disputes. Government properties identified or declared as Waqf before or after commencement of this act shall not be deemed as Waqf property. It says disputes over whether the land is government's or Waqf's will be resolved by a district collector, not the Waqf tribunals. It removes the concept of Waqf by use. As of now, properties used for religious purposes continuously can be considered as Waqf even without formal documentation. The bill requires official deeds or Waqfnamas for these properties to be recognized as Waqf. Bill also says that the Waqf board should allow appointment of non-Muslim CEOs and include at least 2 non-Muslim members in each state's Waqf board. Now, the Lok Sabha had earlier asked the Joint Parliamentary Committee or JPC to review this bill. The bill has been controversial one from the start because the bill says to have evaded all the changes and suggestions from the opposition. Critics of the bill say that the government is making serious amendments to the law concerning the faith of Muslims without consulting the stakeholders. They say that it is against Islam and it is an attempt to target Waqf property and is a violation of minority rights and enhances Islamophobia. As per the opposition, the bill is unconstitutional and divisive. Now, supporters argue that the amendments are essential to modernize the Waqf governance framework and ensure transparency. Long-standing issues of encroachment and misuse of Waqf properties can be addressed by this bill, is what the supporters are saying. Amit Shah said in the parliament, and he argued that it is not an encroachment of religious rights of Muslims. What are your thoughts on this bill? Let us know in the comments. Imagine your social media posts and messages getting scrutinized. No, I'm not talking about an Indian parent of a 12-year-old boy or a girl. It is AI that will be doing it. For international students in the US, this is a reality. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has ordered diplomats overseas to scrutinize the social media content of some applicants for students and other types of visas. He says that it is an effort to ban those suspected of criticizing the US and Israel from entering the country. Basically, those who have strong opinions of the Gaza war and have been actively talking about it on social media. Earlier, it was reported that immigration officials can check the content of your electronic devices like your messages and apps and other things before letting you enter the US. A basic check where the officials can check your devices manually, and an advanced check where some equipment will be used to check your electronic devices in depth is allowed. Now, the move has come after 9 weeks of President Donald Trump signing an executive order to start a campaign to deport some foreign citizens, including ones that have a hostile attitude towards American citizens, culture, government, institutions, or founding principles. He is also deporting foreign students taking part in campus protests against Israel's war on Gaza. Through a long cable, Rubio asked officials to refer certain student and exchange visitor visas applications to the fraud prevention unit for a mandatory social media check. Now, not all people will be scrutinized. He says that those suspected of having terrorist ties or sympathies, those having a student or exchange visa between October 7, 2023 and August 31st, 2024, or who has a visa terminated since October date will be checked. Many countries, especially Europe and Canada, have already issued guidelines to travel to the US. Canada, Denmark, France, Germany, and many other countries have asked their citizens to strictly adhere to the rules of immigration because many Europeans are getting arrested and deported, and the number is increasing. Many travelers are also turning away from the US because it is becoming a hassle with stricter rules in place for them to secure a visa. Tourism could have a negative impact due to this. While it is unsure that travel warnings may impact the economy or not, economists previously warned that tariffs imposed by Trump could strain international relations with allies and increase costs. In 2024, more than 13 million people visited US from Western Europe alone, and at least 1.5 million have visited so far this year. Economists say that spending by tourists could also fall by 12.3%, accounting to $22 billion in annual loss. So, well, Trump's slump is real because experts are forecasting an overall drop of 5.1% in foreign arrivals. The Ghibli trend has everyone talking about it. You have been scrolling through social media lately, you've probably seen those beautiful, dreamy images all looking like they have completely come out of a Studio Ghibli movie. You know the Ghibli trend, don't you? But it's getting super popular, and people are using AI tools like ChatGPT to transform their photos into these stunning animations. From world leaders to couples soft launching their partners, now almost everyone is using this filter. Sam Altman says that the trend is not letting his employees sleep. He asks users to take a chill pill. But before you join the bandwagon, there is something that you need to know. First, let me tell you how it works. Basically, you upload your photo to ChatGPT, give it a prompt like, make this look like a Ghibli scene, and boom, you get a magical animated version that's really cool, but not so cool. There are two major questions to it. One, is it even art if it's generated in minutes? It took Hayao Miyazaki years to perfect this art and create Studio Ghibli, known for Japanese animation that is hand-drawn, emotionally engaging and pleasing to the eye. So some say it's not cool because of that. Second is privacy. Imagine some random guy having your picture or your face recognition is exposed to the world. So here it is. When you upload your photos, you are essentially giving them to AI. Now, ChatGPT's parent company, OpenAI, does have privacy policies. But the real question is, how comfortable are you sharing your personal images with the AI? Because let's be real, once something goes online, it is hard to control where it goes. And while OpenAI assures us that it is not using your photos for training their models without your consent, things can change. AI is rapidly evolving. And how many of you have actually read the privacy policy? Because as per its privacy policy, OpenAI collects the data that you feed to the chatbot and then uses it to train its bot. So if you upload your picture on ChatGPT, OpenAI has access to it and you have now voluntarily shared it with OpenAI. So now you don't know where it's going. What if it's hacked and your personal images go to the dark web? A breach of face recognition is a concern. This isn't just about Ghibli-style pictures. It's a bigger conversation about AI and privacy. We are using AI for all sorts of things these days, and we need to be mindful of what data we are sharing. Let me give you an example of a widely used health app or a health watch. They have all your data about your health, and this can be misused, and some companies have also been accused of selling such data to other companies. So what can you do? First, read the fine print. Understand the privacy policy of all AI tools that you use. Second, be selective about what you upload. Ask yourself, is this something that I'm comfortable sharing with a random person? And third, stay informed. Keep up with the latest news about AI and privacy, and even ChatGPT agrees to it. So while the cute Ghibli trend is fun, be smart about it. Let's enjoy the magic but protect our privacy. The Ghibli trend is not the only one breaking records for OpenAI. It has also received the largest private tech funding round on record. OpenAI has secured a $40 billion funding, which makes its value at $300 billion. Now, this is nearly 3 times the largest amount previously raised by a private tech company. Japan's SoftBank is leading this funding round with $30 billion investment joined by Microsoft and others. But this comes with conditions. OpenAI gets $10 billion now and rest of it by the end of the year if it turns into a profit organization. But why does it need so much fund? For starters, it is not cheap to run a tech company, and one with AI involved, it is very expensive. As per reports, OpenAI spends a whopping $700,000 every day to keep ChatGPT running, and it also needs money for innovation. Another thing is artificial super intelligence. SoftBank says that it will exist by 2035, and it also thinks that OpenAI can make it possible. Last year, Sam Altman outlined his vision for AI-driven future in his blog post titled The Intelligence Age. He said that it is possible that we have super intelligence in few thousand days. Artificial super intelligence, this is what he's talking about. What is this though? AI chatbots are already writing your mails, doing most of your work, turning your images into cute Ghibli-style images, creating videos and animations for you. AI is categorized in 3 types. Artificial narrow intelligence, think Alexa, you give it one task, it does just that. That's normal. Now, artificial general intelligence. This is where too many tasks that the humans can do is done by AI. This is the next step that we are going towards. If you think ChatGPT is scary or chatbots are doing your job and that's scary, wait till you hear about the third stage, artificial super intelligence. Machines here will go beyond human brain, meaning more intelligent than humans, having their own mind. SoftBank CEO says that it will be 10,000 times smarter than a human brain. But are robots coming for us? Well, the answer is no for now, because we are still at artificial narrow intelligence. AGI is the next step where robots will be able to do tasks like humans, which will take some years to build, improve and enhance, even if it is evolving faster. And then there will be artificial super intelligence. But do you think it will exist by 2035? What do you think about ASI? Let us know in the comments. Ever since Trump took charge in January, he has been talking about tariffs, cost-cutting, taxes and Greenland. He wants Greenland to be a part of US. It is a Danish territory as of now, and now the Trump administration is assessing the exact cost of acquiring Greenland as per report. The report said that the White House Budget Office is calculating the potential cost of maintaining Greenland if acquired, including providing government services to the 58,000 residents on the island. Report says one of the proposals on the table is to offer Greenland a sum higher than subsidies provided by Denmark. The White House is also studying the financial gains that they could get from the mineral-rich island. As per another report, the Danish government provides a grant of $491 million annually to Greenland, which makes up half of Greenland's revenue and nearly 20% of its GDP. In 2023, Denmark gave Greenland $600 million and an additional $200 million to cover cost of public order, safety, police and military forces, courts, research and more. Over and above this, the EU gives Greenland over $18 million annually to access its exclusive economic zone. So the cost is obviously higher than all of this combined. Over the years, Greenland has been making efforts to reduce dependency on the bloc grants from Denmark as it is eyeing sovereignty. It looks to leverage its vast, untapped mineral resources critical to development of batteries and chips to attract foreign investments. And Greenlanders don't want US to take over the island because they want independence. As per a survey, 85% of respondents did not wish for the island to become a part of US. Last month, Greenland voted to elect its leader. The newly elected Prime Minister said and asserted that US will not get Greenland. Recently, US Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife visited Greenland, and he criticized Denmark for failing to keep Greenland safe from Russian and Chinese incursions. Why Trump wants Greenland now? Well, he is not the only president who wanted it, but he is now just showing his demand publicly. He wants to expand the American territory. It's a deep-rooted belief that Americans have. They say that they were destined to settle the entire continent of North America. Critics suggest that acquiring Greenland was a part of Trump's expansionist agenda. He says that he wants to acquire Greenland for national security purposes and economy, as it is close to Russian and Chinese activities. Earlier, he even asked NATO for help, but obviously NATO did not want to be a part of this plan because an attack on Denmark by the US means an attack on NATO by the NATO. That's all for today. I will see you in the next week. So keep watching ET Now for more such news and views, and have a happy weekend.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.